Let's continue now with the top story of today. Holy Trinity Catholic Church Parish priest Father Russel Pollitt is with us in studio to help us understand and outline the funeral procession of Pope Francis and the process of electing the new Pope. And Father Russel now joins us in studio. Father Russel, thank you so much for your time this evening. Of course, thousands and millions of people around the world today, we witnessed the funeral procession of Pope Francis. But let's take a step back. And just yesterday, we know that he was lying in state for at least 3 days, and just at 7 p.m. yesterday we saw his casket being sealed off. Let's start off with the significance of that and why this took place.
This is an ancient tradition that the Church has always had when it comes to the popes, that they would lie in state. In fact, they wouldn't be lying in their casket, they'd be lying on an open bier, as we saw with Pope Benedict. Pope Francis 2 years ago simplified the rites of the burial of a pope, and so he decided, I don't want to be lying on an open bier, I want to be in a simple coffin. So instead of having the 3 layers, he said that he would only have the very simple wooden coffin, and there is a lead inside that. So the idea is that they seal the coffin of the Pope. It's a sign that we are now preparing him for burial, that he is going to be put into his resting place. And you would have noticed on the sealing of the coffin, the Pope's emblem is there, and also the emblem of the Vatican. And so really, it comes from when the Pope was a sovereign as well, because remember, he's the head of the Vatican state and he is the head of the Church. And they put a big emphasis on this funeral, saying this is not the funeral of a sovereign, this is the funeral of a shepherd, of a Pope. And that's why they did that last night.
Also, something very interesting that many of us noticed is how simple the Pope's coffin looked, and also making emphasis of breaking away from normal tradition. Why this time around a very simple looking coffin?
This was all Pope Francis himself. This is what he wanted. I think he felt, and there were critics of the way that the triple coffin was spoke of worldly power and preserving the body, because this was a powerful person. And Pope Francis said, no, that's not who I am. I was a simple pastor, and I don't want all those trappings. I want to be as close to the people as possible. And we've seen that today in so much of the symbolism. We have to read into the symbolism, because in some ways, someone said to me the other day, he's even trying to control things after his death. The symbolism that we saw today, that he laid out that he wanted, was very, very telling of the fact that he lived a simple life, and now he wanted this to continue with his death and his burial.
And we also saw the pallbearers when Pope Francis's casket was being taken out of the basilica. And maybe one would also ask, what is the significance of, when it comes to certain pallbearers, and who is allowed to hold the casket of Pope Francis? Maybe just take us through who was selected to be part of those pallbearers.
So there are people in the Vatican whose job, amongst other things, is to do that. And you'll probably find that group today, it's been in their family tradition for decades, maybe even more than that, where the family of these men, they would be there when a pope dies to play that role. So just like the Swiss Guards have a role, even in the Vatican, these people, these men that are chosen from this specific group, would have this role to play.
What are other significant moments which took place today, which are very important to the Catholic community when it comes to carrying out the funeral of a pope?
So the funeral was done in the context of what we call Holy Mass, which is a celebration of the Eucharist. So Catholic funerals are always done in the context of Holy Mass. So there was communion, because we believe the Eucharist, communion, is the sacrament of the Church. And if you went to a Catholic church, the order of service is almost the same as what be for any Mass, except the prayers are for the dead. At the end of the Mass, We have those rites at the end, the commendation rite, which is different, which we then pray that this person now would go to be with the Lord, kind of almost releasing them to be with the Lord and to rest in peace. And then normally the casket of the Pope would be carried back into the basilica because he would be buried in the basilica. They chose to carry the casket back into the basilica and then go through what we call the door of prayer on the side of the basilica. And above that door is a fantastic sculpture by Bernini of angels, a scene from heaven. So it's almost as if significantly he was entering into, going through that door, entering into heaven. And then, as is a very Italian cultural norm, he went straight across the piazza outside the side of the basilica, his body, and it went past Casa Santa Marta, the place where Pope Francis lived. Because in Italy, you normally always take the coffin past the person's last place of residence, and it would have gone out of the side gate, the Perugia gate, I think it's called, to begin that procession. So also there as well, that sense of him moving again through the basilica for the last time, not resting in the basilica, but going through that door. The symbolism there, I think, is just wonderful. Pope Francis was also one who spoke about the church being on a journey, on a pilgrimage. This is one of his big themes in the last 2 years. He had the synod and so forth. And isn't it interesting as well that he made a journey to the place of his burial?
Yeah.
You know, he went through the people, he made a pilgrimage to the place, which wouldn't have normally happened with the Pope if they were buried in the basilica.
Certainly, and you know, before we wrap up our conversation, there is now this difficult task of electing a new Pope, and maybe just take us through that. I know that you know, there will be a vote that will be done, but that will only be done next month.
Yes, so what's going to happen now is the cardinals will start meeting. So tomorrow night, all the cardinals are going to St. Mary Major, where the Pope has been buried. They're going to have a prayer time there. And then they will probably start meeting from Monday. And what they do is they have what they call general congregations. The cardinals all come together and they discuss the state of the church. What is the state of the church? What are the challenges that the church faces? What are the things that need to be taken into account in the global context? And then they will say, okay, this is the profile of a leader that we need to lead the church in this context. And then amongst themselves, they will start to say, who perhaps could be the person that can lead the church? And then they will go into the actual conclave, conclavis, the key will be locked, and they will go into a vote for a pope once they've done that kind of before work. And so probably the conclave itself will only start next month around the 5th of May, but the cardinals will be meeting every day now to talk about these issues.
All right, Father Russel, thank you so much for your time and that very important explanation in terms of what we witnessed today. That is priest, Father Russel Pollitt. He is from the Holy Trinity Catholic Church there, just giving us an overview of what we witnessed today when it comes to the funeral service of Pope Francis.
Sancti Proto